ThinkCrew 2.5 is an enhanced offline mode now, which allows you to use the entire site end to end while you're offline. Let me show you how. So I'm starting here on the schedules page inside of ThinkCrew. I could really start at any page here, but I want to show you some of the things that are going to change for your schedule documents as we go online and offline. I can currently tell that I am online because there is a new icon up here that shows me my online status. There's a little connectivity icon. It has a green circle around it, meaning that I'm currently online. And if I click on the icon, it'll give me a little bit more information. It says that I'm currently connected and that all my changes have been saved to ThinkCrew Cloud. It'll even show me the date and time of the last sync. The other thing you'll notice here is that each one of these different schedules, I have two schedules here, first pass and second pass, has an icon over here on the right side. You can see this little cloud icon with a down arrow on it. And if I hover over these, it'll say that this schedule is stored in the cloud. And if I click on this icon, as I do right here, I can store this schedule locally inside of my browser's cache. And what that means is if I go offline right now, anything that I have previously checked this checkbox on to download that information into my browser's cache will be available to me offline. And conversely, if I don't click the icon, then this schedule is stored in the cloud, meaning that it's only available when I am online. And this is true in scripts as well. Scripts also have this same icon and have the same behavior. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the icon right here to make sure that this script is stored locally so that when I go offline, I have access to my script as well. Now to simulate going offline, what I'm going to do here is open up the Chrome developer tools. These are tools that are inside your browser and they give you a lot of control over the web page. What I'm going to do is set the network settings to offline. And this will simulate us being offline during this demonstration. And I'll minimize this right here. And now you can already see that something has changed up here. Our little online icon here now has a line through it and has a red circle around it as opposed to a green one. And when I click on this, it's going to let me know that I'm offline, that my changes will sync to ThinkCrew Cloud when I reconnect to the internet, and it'll show me the number of cache changes that it has currently made. Right now it's 0 because of course we haven't done anything yet. And if I go back here to my schedules, we can now see that the second pass schedule, which I had stored locally, is available to me. If I click on this, I can just open it. Or going back here to the schedules, I can see that my first pass, which I did not store locally, is currently unavailable. So now that we're offline, let's go through and see all of the different things that we can still do, even though we have no connectivity to ThinkCrew Cloud or the internet in general. I can still create projects. I'm going to go here to the projects page. I'm just going to click new and we're going to create a new demo project. Click create. I'm now in my new demo project. If I go to scripts and click upload and I want to upload a script, just upload that. And here is my script and I can do all the normal things that I would do in my script. And I can create new schedules. So let's say I want to go here and create a new schedule. We'll call this one new schedule. I'm going to ingest that script I just uploaded, click create, and then I can dive right into that new schedule. And of course, I can make all the changes that I want and work with that schedule in the normal way that I would work with a schedule. Also, notice what happened when I uploaded that script and schedule. They automatically got the check mark. Because I'm offline, and because it wouldn't make any sense to upload a script or create a new schedule and not have it available as soon as I created it, ThinkCrew is smart enough to know that anything that I do when I'm offline should be cached locally. So that setting to store my scripts and schedules locally or in the cloud is set to locally automatically for anything that I do when I'm offline. I can also create new progress reports if I wanted to do that. And I can also go over here and I can edit my profile page and make almost any changes I want to this page. And of course, it's also worth mentioning that I could put my computer to sleep right now. If I was on my MacBook and I closed the lid and put it away for a while and then opened it up again and did some more work, all while being offline, that is also perfectly fine. You can do that as much as you want. Now that we've seen everything that we can do when we're offline, let's take a look at some of the things that you cannot do that are restricted while you are currently offline. First, you may notice that normally there's a little down arrow right here next to demo. There's also one usually here next to projects. While offline, you have to stay within your current project. You cannot switch back and forth between projects. This is because when ThinkCrew caches all of the information for a particular project, that's a lot of information. And of course, you can create as many projects as you want in ThinkCrew. If we were to store all of the information from all of your projects offline, it would probably slow down your computer. So in order to avoid that, we limit you to just the project that you're currently in while you are offline. You'll also notice that some of the things on the dashboard are not visible when you're offline. So for instance, the blog post, the weather, and links to the most recent videos on our YouTube channel, those are not visible because they need connection to the internet in order to get that information. Search is also turned off as that's something that also requires the internet. And there's a couple things to point out here in the user dropdown. When I go to edit profile, I can make all the changes that I want, but I cannot upload a new user image and I cannot change my password. Also, these pages here, subscription and permissions, are turned off because, as you might imagine, those things both need to talk to the server in order to give you updated information on them. And as you might imagine, because permissions is not currently available, I don't have the ability to add or change users that are in my project's scripts or schedules. And lastly, you cannot log out while you are offline. This may seem obvious to say, but logging you out actually is something that is done on the server. The server logs you out and sets a bunch of permissions on the back end to make sure that things are secure. And of course, without connection to the internet, you cannot log out. But literally everything else inside of ThinkCrew is something that you are still able to do while you are offline. If I want to go back into that schedule and I want to sort and add days, for instance, I'll select my board. Everything works just like it would offline. Now that we've made a bunch of changes and seen all the things you can do offline, let's actually go back online. Let's see what actually happens here. I'm going to make my DevTools a little bit bigger here. We're going to set offline back to no throttling, which is the same thing as saying we're going to go back online. And what happens is it's going to refresh a little bit. It will have saved all the information that was in your cache back to the server. And now we can continue working in the normal way that we would, making any changes we want to the schedule. We should also cover a number of different best practices for when you are offline. Number one, of course, and this may seem obvious as well, but you must be logged into ThinkCrew before you go offline. If you don't have access to the internet, you cannot actually log into ThinkCrew. It seems obvious, but it's worth saying. Also, don't close the browser tab that currently has ThinkCrew open in it. The browser tab that is open in your browser contains all of the saved information, and closing that tab risks losing that information. And lastly, I'd like to talk about avoiding data conflicts when some users are online and others are not online. And what I've got here is a timeline. Our time is starting at 12 o'clock and moving forward. And each one of these stacks of blocks is showing what is happening at a particular time. I'm using these circles here to denote whether someone is online or offline. Green is online, red is offline. And let's actually walk through each one of these slices of time so that we can see how the server understands what a particular value is at any given time. And to make this really simple, we're just going to talk about one value here, and that's the project name. These ideas would be the same for anything else, whether they were the order of the strips or which elements belong to a particular breakdown, but you get the idea. We're just going to talk about the project name here to keep it simple. So in our first slice of time here, around 12:15, the first AD who is online changes the name of the project to Casablanca. And so ThinkCrew Cloud, the server, understands the name is now Casablanca, and it saves that information. Later in the day, after 2 o'clock, the second AD, who also has access to the project, changes the project name to Citizen Kane. And of course, the server now understands that the name of the project is Citizen Kane, and anyone who asks for the name of the project will be told Citizen Kane. All right, easy so far. Moving down the timeline here, the first AD is going to go offline somewhere around 4 o'clock. And because nothing has changed, it makes sense that the name of the project is still Citizen Kane. It was Citizen Kane before, it is now Citizen Kane. Now here's where things start getting interesting. Somewhere around 6 p.m., the first AD, who is still offline, says the project name is now Star Wars. And it makes sense that ThinkCrew Cloud does not know that yet because the first AD is offline, and of course the server doesn't know that anyone has made any changes yet. So if asked, the server is still going to say the name of the project is Citizen Kane. Later that evening, the second AD, who's been online this entire time, changes the name of the project to Patton. And ThinkCrew Cloud says, great, the name is now Patton. Here's the important part that I think everyone would really benefit from understanding. Sometime later that night, the first AD comes back online and all of his changes get synced to the server. So anything that the first AD has done in the past while he is offline is now synced to the server. So suddenly, around 9:45 at night, the second AD, who saw that the name of the project was Citizen Kane and changed it to Patton, is suddenly going to see the name of the project change to Star Wars, because that's the change that was in the first AD's cache, and when they got back online, it got sent to the server. The important part is that the name change to Star Wars actually occurred at 6 p.m., even though there was another name change at 8 p.m. to Patton. This is a pattern called last update wins. Even though the idea of changing the project name to Star Wars occurred earlier than the idea to change it to Patton, because the first AD's cache had stored Star Wars all the way up to this point that he got back online, it was then that his cache got dumped to the server and the name of the project was changed to Star Wars. This is intended behavior. We could use a different system theoretically in ThinkCrew where we said the last change in time is the one that wins. But once you open that up, it's actually a really interesting thought experiment when you think about it. Who should win in that case? Yes, Patton was the last one that changed, but does the first AD get to override the second AD? And how granular would those permissions need to get in order to decide exactly who gets to win in a particular scenario? So to avoid all of those problems, we utilize a system where the last update wins, so that the version of the information that is in the cloud is the last thing that it has been told. In this case, it was when the first AD came back online and his cache from earlier in the day got sent to the cloud. If you are working with a team that has access to your project, just make sure that everyone knows what's happening at all times. If in this example, the first AD is in the van on a scout and the second AD is back in the office, the first AD might do well to let the second AD know, hey, I'm making changes to this particular part of the schedule, and I am currently offline, so please don't make any changes to that particular thing, as my cache will be overwriting whatever you do when you come back online. If you have any questions about this or anything else, email us at this address right here or hit us up on social media. Don't forget to click like, hit subscribe, and turn on alerts so you don't miss any of our future videos. Thank you so much for watching. That's a wrap.